Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivardhari Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Garantara Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi Oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonan, Chapter 53, Krishna Kicksnaps Rukmini, text 22 through 24. Text number 22. Bhishma Kanya Varoroha Bhishma Kanya Vararoha Kanshatyamanan, no, Kanshyagamanan, no, Kanshatyagamanan Hare, Kanshatyagamanan Hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijashintaya, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Dvija, Dvija, Dvijasya, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshantyagamanam hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshatyagamanam hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada. Please chant. Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshantyagamaman hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshatyagamanam hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshatyagamanam hare. Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshatyagamanam hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya vararoha, Kanshatyagamanam hare, Pratyapattin apashyanti, Dvijasya chintayat tada, Bhishmakanya, the daughter of Bhishmaka, Vara Aroha, having lovely hips, Kanshanti, waiting for, Agamanam, the arrival, Harehe, of Krishna, Pratyapatim, the return, Apasyanti, not seen, Dvijasya, of the Brahmana, Achintayat, thought, Tada, then. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The lovely daughter of Bhishmaka anxiously awaited the arrival of Krishna. But when she did not see the Brahmana return, she thought as follows. Text number 23. Ahotri jamantarita udabo melparadasha nagachatyarabindaksho naham betmyatra karanam sopi navartate dyapi matsandesha haro dvija. Princess Rukmini thought, alas, my wedding is to take place when the night ends. How unlucky I am. Lotus Eye Krishna does not come. I don't know why. And even the Brahmana messenger has not yet returned. There's a purport from the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. It is apparent from this verse, as confirmed by Srila Sridhar Swami, that the present scene takes place before sunrise. And text number 24. Api majyanavadyatma dristva kinchin yugupsitam matpanigrahane nunam najati hi kritodyama. Translation. Perhaps the faultless Lord, even while preparing to come here, saw something contemptible. That's how you say, contemptible? In me, and therefore has not come to take my hand. Purport. Princess Rukmini boldly invited Sri Krishna to kidnap her. When Rukmini did not see him come, she naturally feared that he had rejected her proposal, perhaps finding some unacceptable quality in her. As expressed here, the Lord Himself is anavadya, faultless. And if He saw some fault in Rukmini, she would be an unworthy bride for Him. It was natural for the young princess to feel such anxiety. Furthermore, if Sri Krishna has actually made this decision, it will be natural for the Brahmana to fear Rukmini's reaction, were he to bring her the news, and that will explain why he had not come. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swamin Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, it is explained by the Vaishnavacharyas, by the Goswamis, in their commentaries, that what we're hearing right now is Srimati Rukmini Devi's what is called Purva Raga. Purva Raga. That's a particular stage of love, or the whole arising of prema, or the love for Krishna, that is in the mood of separation. So we know that that in the passions of Radha and Krishna, there is these two categories. There's one that is called Vipralamba, and that's one that's called Sambhoga. So Vipralamba means love, the feelings of love in separation, and Sambhoga means the feeling of love in union. So there's union and separation. And when we talk about separation, Srila Rupa Goswami divides this into four. And one is called this Purva Raga. One is called Mana. One is called Prema Vaichitya. And one is called Pravas. So there's four. So the first one, Purva Raga, is when the beloved or the lover or the in this, you know, this is specific to the conjugal mood, you know, between Radha and Krishna, between the gopis and Krishna, or between the living entity and Krishna, you know, when it's in this mood of madhurya ras, or conjugal love. So the lover is in the Purva Raga is before meeting Krishna. Before meeting Krishna. So meaning that in this case, the lover becomes, just by hearing about Krishna or by seeing pictures of Krishna, you become in love with him. And you desire him as your lover, your beloved. So it's like, you know, you get the crush, you know. Sometimes you see that in young persons, you know, that, you know, often you have, when you're very young and you have your idols, you have a poster, or you see pictures, or you follow, you know, something in the internet or something, you know, like that. In my time, there was no internet. There was, you know, there was posters. So you put a poster of your, you know, the persons that you admire. So, you know, there's a particular girl, I remember during my time, was this woman called Farrah Fawcett. So you have, I mean, everybody has a poster of this lady, you know, in their room, you know. So so you're like, you know, and you hear about girls with this fellow, I can't remember, what's his name? Justin Bieber. Apparently there was a whole thing with this kid, that girls will be in love with him, you know, and have picture and idealize. So, you know, this is what is called, that's what I'm just saying is the perverted reflection of Purva Raga. So in the spiritual world, with these pure, most, you know, exalted devotees, this Purva Raga manifests just by listening to Krishna. And Srimati Rukmini Devi is a perfect example of, you know, at this, especially at this moment, she's in that mood of Purva Raga. She has this extreme desire, very, very intense desire to unite with Krishna. And she has given her heart to Krishna. And this happened just by her listening to the pastimes of Krishna from the people that were, you know, travelers and brahmanas and, you know, different people that would narrate the wonderful activities of Krishna. And just by listening, she becomes fully attracted. And she developed this intense desire to have Krishna as her husband. And so that's Purva Raga. Purva Raga. And, Purva Raga in particularly is Srila Rupa Goswami explains that is very absorbing, experience. You just get so absorbed. Basically, when the young girl has this crush, explaining, Srila Rupa Goswami explained, the devotee, the princess, have this crush on Krishna, and it's such an intense absorption. So that is explained, this Purva Raga, that is full of hope. The hope is that Krishna will accept her. She just have this picture that she will be united with Krishna. And so this is a very important principle that Srila Rupa Goswami explains, and he uses the term of lolyam. Lolyam means this intense greed or intense desire to have Krishna. So Srila Rupa Goswami calls this as lolyam ekam mulyam. That this ekam is single-minded, single-pointed object of your desires. And it's really, really, really intense. So the verse describes this intensity of Rukmini, this verse that we just read, that she was anxiously awaiting with this intense desire. And of course, this intense desire goes to all kinds of, emotional roller coaster that is accompanied with this great hope that, yes, Krishna will come and fulfill my desires. And also with this fear that maybe he will not. So she goes into this roller coaster. And but from the perspective, we have heard this so many times through the past. And another example of this Purva Raga was when we read the young gopis. Now, Kartik is about to finish. And then the next month, can't remember how it's called, but it's a month in which you do this Katayani Brata, which the girls of Vrindavan, the gopis, the unmarried gopis of Vrindavan, perform this Katayani Brata, worship goddess Katayani, and all of them, many, thousands of gopis, young girls, all unmarried, they perform this Brata for a month for the purpose of obtaining Krishna as her husband, as their husband. So, same, Purva Raga. A very, very intense desire, and then perform that, the meditation, the hope, everything was there. So, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that this principle is the most important principle in Krishna consciousness. And, we may ask the question ourselves, sometimes, someone may ask you, what's the most important thing for advancing in Krishna consciousness? What's the most important element or principle to advance in Krishna consciousness? And, immediately one says, chanting Hare Krishna, Prabhupada said, you chant the holy names. And someone may say, but, association with devotees is more important. Because like Srila Sutta Goswami says that, yes, chanting is most important, but in order to be able to chant with taste, you have to serve the devotees. You have to associate with devotees. And even prior to do anything, you have to have that contact with devotees, because the devotees are the one who brings you into the chanting of the holy names. And devotees are the one in their association that sustain that desire. So devotee association is most important for one to advance. And these two answers are quite, true and are good answers. However, Srila Rupa Goswami, he explains that the most important thing is something else. This is Srila Prabhupada also quoting Srila Rupa Goswami. Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 5, chapter 19, text number 7. In the purport, Prabhupada says, one's devotion and sincere desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the only qualifications. Rupa Goswami also have said that the prize for achieving God's favors is simply one's sincere eagerness to have it. Lolyam ekam maulyam. So, our very desire to advance in the spiritual life is the core condition by which we can actually advance, and we can build our advancement. So this desire to become Krishna consciousness. So this is that Lolyam, this desire to obtain Krishna's lotus feet. And if we track back the beginnings of our initial contacts with Krishna consciousness, is full of that eagerness and hope to know and to understand and to learn, and it's exciting. It's you want more and more. So this eagerness is there. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that eagerness you have to sustain. You have to sustain, and we can constantly monitor ourselves as we go through the path of Krishna consciousness. Monitor our eagerness, this greediness for more of Krishna. And if we loosen it a little bit, then we have to reassess things and be able to put, see what pieces are missing, how to go back to that initial eagerness that brought us to Krishna consciousness. And we can expect, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti expects that, in these initial stages, and most of us are, there is he defines it as anishtata bhakti. Anishtata bhakti. That is not steady. That our devotion goes to, also a roller coaster like that. Sometimes we're like really riding high, and sometimes we'll, sort of a little down and doubting something and things like that. So it's expected in the process of purification as we deal with, getting rid of unwanted things. But the principle of eagerness we protect and we maintain, well, as we mentioned in the beginning, what's important by association and by sadhana, by those two things. We maintain that strength, that liveliness of our eagerness, our desire. So these pastimes of Srimati Rukmini Devi having this great eagerness, of course, in her case, the roller coaster is not like our roller coaster, that is anishtata. In her case, it's nishta. It's perfectly steady. And thus, we have heard throughout that these feelings of separation, these feelings of uncertainty, are nothing but different aspects of the ecstasy, intense ecstasy of love for Krishna. And the fact is that all of that manifests in the heart and create this intense desire to be with Krishna. More and more, it's like this is plain. And you can appreciate that in her prayers, in her thoughts. As we have heard, this chapter, the beautiful connections that are there, and the inner conversations that are happening within the core of her heart and with Krishna's heart, Krishna as a Paramatma within the heart. So there's this inner conversation that we are given entrance by our wonderful Vaishnava Acharyas, especially Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, give us so much entrance into this connection that is there, and this inner conversation in which all these beautiful exchanges and expressions of love are happening between Krishna and Rukmini. So Srila Sutta Goswami uses the word to describe, to name Krishna as Hare. And Hare is from Hari. Hari is a name of Krishna that means he who takes away. So that's my telephone. Yeah, it's in the pocket of my, just shut it down. No. Is it off? Yeah. What I was saying? Oh, yes. Lord Hari who takes away. So in this particular narration, Krishna has taken away the heart of beautiful Rukmini. She is described of Vara Aroha, having lovely hips. But it's just describing this term Vara Aroha means that she's so beautiful, so exquisitely beautiful. And Hari, waiting for Hari, who have basically stolen her heart and her mind. And then it comes this anxiety. She's not seeing Krishna. Maybe she's not worthy. Maybe, Krishna has understood that there's some fault in her character. But this anxiety again raises this wonderful desire and this wonderful connection with Krishna. And anyway, what is coming is just very exciting as Krishna comes and kidnap Rukmini. It's just so beautiful to just read about it, and we seeing that moment that Rukmini finally sees Krishna coming like a great hero. Actually, in one of these verses, is described as a great hero. Let's see, what is it? Yeah, there's a term that is used that describing as, this wonderful hero. And so this Krishna comes, and then puts his hand and Rukmini takes it. That moment, the moment of union. So it's you can feel it. It's very, 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 very nice. And then Krishna, like a, lion is explained, he just very casually move away, and then the kings, and they're all shocked. Some of them even fell from their horses. This is going to play. We're going to hear that. They were so, taken by Krishna's power. Just to see Krishna doing that act, so boldly and so powerfully, some of them got completely shocked. I'm going to stop here and ask for questions or comments. Yes, bro.
Thank you for the class. And I guess my thought is, I think these pastimes are supposed to actually deter us from trying to imitate these love stories and everything. Krishna and the gopis and Krishna and Rukmini. In the time that she had, when Krishna was teasing Rukmini, and then she started to describe all the things about what a horrible thing it would be to choose a man as her husband, right? Blood, pus, do all this other stuff to convince Krishna of her love. So I was wondering if you could say a little bit about, do women have an easier road or easier chance to approach Krishna and say, I want to marry you? Souls inside of the female body. Because for a soul inside of a male body, it's a lot harder to say, Krishna, I really want to be your wife. It's really hard to get to that. Even though we're not male or female, it's really hard. But it seems that souls inside of the female body, Vaishnavis, would have an easier chance to just say, hey, I don't want this blood and all this stuff. I just want to be with you, Krishna.
Yeah, that stage in which, the soul, the particular type of relationship, or it's called your Siddha Pranali, or your, when you actually connect to what is your natural disposition to relate with Krishna in the particular 5 ragas, then that's way up there. And it becomes clear. It becomes very clear. You're have this intense attraction when you come into the highest stages of devotional service to serve in a particular way. And then there's a whole process, that is there. So when one is on those levels of devotion, then the things, it becomes immediately clear, regardless of what gender you have, what this body is now you're functioning from the platform of the soul. And we have the examples of the sages of Danya Karanya, that when they saw, these are liberated souls that were the sages that were meditating, many of them. And when they saw Lord Ramachandra, they desired to become the wives of Lord Ramachandra. And they all, were male sages. And but, not from the perspective of the low material thing, because when I say, some materialistic person may start to concoct and try to make it, that must be that, the sages are homosexual or something like that, That's not that. That's elevated in a platform of the spirit souls, and it's not like Lord Ramachandra was like, wait, whoa. No, he says, well, not in this lifetime. He took it seriously. He understood, not in this lifetime, but I will fulfill your desire in the next lifetime. So they became the gopis. All these unmarried gopis were, there were some, among the many unmarried gopis that were performing this Katayani Brata, were the sages of Danya Karanya who became gopis. So, so it's not, in that level, there's not, because they're in the level of spirit. So it's natural. Now, in our level, really, what we're cultivating, on the level of most of us, what we're cultivating is the desire to be with Krishna. The desire of, to become, pure and being able to serve Krishna in a pure consciousness. So, which in principle is the same desire, but then as it becomes more refined and it becomes more, it's almost like it fully unfolds at one point and it becomes more specific how you're going to be united with Krishna in a particular, rasa or a particular thing. Anyone else?
So the Sridhar Swami is quoted as saying that Rukmini's thinking in these verses came before sunrise.
Yeah.
So she's saying that the wedding's due to take place before the night ends. So it would mean that there's such a short time in which Krishna could come. I mean, one doesn't know exactly how far in advance of sunrise, but it seems the time is very...
Very, very little, yes.
Very, yes.
Actually, for if it was before sunrise and the marriage is to take, before night ends, so you imagine it's the same day, right? And, you imagine that a event like this will be someone in the afternoon, late afternoon, something like that. You imagine. The acharyas, they did have some calculation. Let me see if I find it here. Yes. This, the term that is used is triyama. Triyama. The verse goes, Aho triyamantarita. So, alas, aho. Triyama means 3 yamas. And yamas are sets of 9 hours. No, let's see. 9 hours. No. Let me see. Okay, I'll read. This is Srila Jiva Goswami answering to that. Aho, Shila means 3 yama, 9 hours, indicates a small amount of time. It is my bad luck Krishna has not come, that I have not met him. So 9 hours. So you may assume that it's sets of 3 hours to make 9 hours, right? 3 yamas. So 3 times 3, so 9. Or maybe it's 3 times 9. That will make a little more sense if it's going to be sunrise to the evening, right? So that may be 18 hours. And 9 times 3 is then is 20 something hours. So, I don't know. But the fact is that there is a short time. It's a short time. It's a short time. So she's in really, really tremendous anxiety that, that if this doesn't happen, she's, finished like that. Is that okay? You have something more.
Well, a night could be the 9 hours. So sunrise is coming at the end of that night of 9 hours.
Oh,
And then because the concern was for Krishna to come when she's on her way to the Durga temple, then the movement to the Durga temple could be somewhere in the sun before sunrise.
you assume that is like going to Mongol Arctic, like that. So, I mean, you see the pilgrimage that goes to different temples at that period to worship. And so that makes sense. Yeah. The idea, I thought it was going to be when she was giving the instructions to Krishna the day before the marriage. Remember that? The day before the marriage. There would be an entourage that would take all the ladies of the palace into, goddess Durgas. So regardless, 9 hours, 27 hours, next day, it was the little window. And especially, the window where she's out and being able to take, that's another thing. That's a very short window, So that could possibly count with the 9 hours. Okay. Should I stop? Ladies, anyone else? Yes, Daisha.
So it's kind of a technical question, but you were speaking on the 4 parts to love and separation with Krishna, and I was just wondering if you could repeat what those were. I know it was
Oh, yes.
Raga.
Thank you for asking that. I was meaning to say them, and then somehow or other I forgot. Yes. So, they're very nice. The first one is Purva Raga, which is, when this love prior to meeting. So you're in love, but prior to meeting is in separation. Mana is when it's described as pouting, as you say, pouting. So you're angry, so you're angry and sulky, like that. So you're in separation. You don't want to see Krishna. Srimati Radharani is famous. She gets into those, mana moods. There's a when you visit Vrindavan and you go to Varsana, the town of Srimati Radharani, there's 4 hills, and in one of the hills there's a Mana Mandir. That is the temple in which Srimati Radharani is worshiping her angry mood. She's like, he doesn't want to see Krishna. So, and Krishna is all in anxiety. So it's a fantastic pastimes. So mana is when that happens. So then it's prema vaicitya. Prema vaicitya is when there's feeling of separation, even in the beloved's presence. So there is also in between going before reaching Varsana in Vrindavan, there's a beautiful lake that is called Prem Sarovar. And in that lake, there's the pastimes between Radha and Krishna, in which they were sitting down next to each other, and there came a bumblebee, was buzzing around, and Srimati Radharani was a little disturbed, with the bubble beam, So then Krishna called Madhumangal to help get rid of the bee. And Madhumangal went and, chased the bee away, came back and say to both of them, Madhu is gone. So Madhu is a name of the bee. Madhu also means honey. And the bee, is someone, is someone who's very fond of honey. It's related to honey. Madhu is gone. Srimati Radharani, just by listening to that, Madhu is gone, because Madhu is also a name for Krishna, Madhusudana. So just by hearing that, sitting next to Krishna, she just lost it. And then just starting to cry uncontrollable, thinking that Krishna is gone, just by the thought that Krishna is gone. And Krishna, seeing Srimati Radharani's like such emotions, he also started to cry. And they feel allayed with their tears. So that's the Prem Sarovar. And the last one is Pravasa, which is when the lover is far away. Is indeed far away. So those four are in separation. Okay. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.